So we left off in the last video with an error that ODE spotted on our data set, and now we're going to see how to fix it. So we could think of fixing each of the rows that are in the wrong format, right? So I could do this manually here on ODE, but I do not recommend it. Even though there's only 76 rows, ODE is not meant for editing files, for editing your tables, okay? ODE is for validating your table and documenting the metadata. So we're going to use a spreadsheet application to fix it because it's going to be a lot faster. And also remember that ODE, every changes that we make are changing a file that has been copied in ODE's temp folder. So we can run into a lot of bugs or problems or crashing the program if we try to keep editing the cells. Okay, so I do not recommend you do that. Let's just find the folder here, and we're gonna open it on a spreadsheet application. We're using LibreOffice for this. And so I'm just gonna choose encoding. Everything looks fine. Just gonna open the table here. So this is a column that we need to fix because it is in the wrong date type format. So how are we going to do that without having to fix one by one? So we're just gonna think of all the tricks we learned in module 1. And in this case, I'm going to use find and replace. So I can just choose this column and edit, find and replace. And then let's understand what we have on the table. So the space should be replaced by a T. And as you can see, there are no other spaces in this value. So I can just type in the space and then replace by a T and then replace all. So there we go. One part of it is already fixed. And also, as we can see, we're very lucky that this table, all the values are just duplicates. So it's the exact same value. So we could just choose the entire value and substitute it for. But I just want to show you that there are some tricks that we can pull if we need to do this with different examples. And that could be really useful for you. So just make sure that you don't just choose the number 0, because there are lots of zeros here. So if you add, we're going to add the seconds and then the letter Z to it. But if we just choose a 0, we're going to add it on the other parts where there's also a 0. And we might also risk changing other columns that we don't want. So I'm just going to say find wherever it says 18:50 and replace by 18:50:00 seconds. Z uppercase. Replace all. There we have it. Now we can just save the same table that we had. So it's just the same file in that folder. And we're going back to ODE and see what happens. So there we go. It's going to load now. Let's just come back here to see what happens. We fixed our error. So as you can see, the timestamp column is all clear, nothing red here. But now we have a second errors here. And as we can see, it's not on the whole column. So there's something going on in this column now. And it's only happening to the numbers that are whole numbers and not the ones that are that have any decimals. Okay, so let's just click on errors report, and we can see that we have 58 type errors here, and it says the value does not match the schema type and format for this field. Okay, great. But where are the other 2 errors? Because there's supposed to be 60 here. So what we find out is that we have 2 other different errors that we need to address. And one of them is hash count error This error can happen if the data is corrupted, or byte count error. This error can happen if the data is corrupted. Now, we know it's not corrupted. What happened is it was altered. Our table was altered. We went on the application and changed that column. So what happens if you change any little bytes from a table, the table's hash, the MD5 checksum is not gonna match anymore, because now the file is a tiny little bit different, but then the code is going to change as well. So that's how I can tell that something happened from my table from the specific time when I generated the hash to now when I'm still working on it. So we're gonna fix this later, and also the byte count error we're gonna fix later, because we still have to fix this problem here on this column, and we also have to finish documenting the other fields. Okay, so first we're gonna check this one. So as you can see, let me just show the table itself. So the timestamp is okay. Our date and time is in the correct format. So we have the district, and now here we have two columns with whole numbers. So it's absolute numbers of healthcare stations in the city. So it's not going to be, it's going to need any decimal numbers. But here is the percentage of stations that are open. So sometimes it's going to be 100%, so that's a whole number, but sometimes it's going to be 37.5%, so that has a decimal. So now we are just going to check this field to see what's going on. And there we have it. That is the problem we have here, because this column, ODE, when it opened, it identified as a geopoint. Now, a geopoint is basically a value that contains the latitude and the longitude of a specific address or specific point on the map. So that is not at all what we want. What we want is a number that has a float, like I showed you before. That wouldn't be the integer, because integers are for whole numbers, and we want just a normal number that can have decimals. So here I'm gonna say yes, it is a float number, and also I am going to specify which is the decimal character. In our case, it's a comma and not a dot. So let's save these changes and see what happens to our table. Okay, great. So we got our errors down from 60 to 2. So only the hash error now and the byte count error. And then on the next video, we're going to see how to fix the hash error and the byte error and finish documenting our data set.